Neon streets, they glow tonight. Questions buzzing in the light. Cheyonne's got answers cool and clear. Traffic truths you'll wanna hear. Ask a traffic cop after dark, lighting up your mind like a spark. Rules of the road with a chill vibe, cruising knowledge on this late night ride. Brake lights flash under the moon. Sean's wisdom cuts through the gloom. Relaxed and fun with a steady tone. He makes the road feel like home. Ask a traffic cop after dark, lighting up your mind like a spark. Rules of the road with a chill vibe, cruising knowledge on this late night ride. From stop signs to speed
What
limits
is
and
going on Tuesday, people? Hey, how you doing? My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer. I talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. And holy moly, Instagram's pissed at me. Well, not everybody, because I've more than doubled my following on Instagram in the last weekend. It's because of one post in particular, and it's about school buses and when you should stop for them and when you don't have to, and blah, blah, blah. Apparently, Ohio, you ain't got to care about those children because, well, we don't stop for those things. I'll get into it in a moment. But it's funny how so many people get upset when I post Ontario law and they go, people outside of Toronto, they can see this stuff. And I'm like, yeah. And that's why you got to look up and see who you're talking to and not take everything you read on the internet or see on the internet as simple fact. Now, I talk about stuff. And when people say it ain't the law, I say, well, maybe you're not in Ontario. And it's sad that I got to go and put flags on everything and caveats everywhere. But I will say that over 500,000 views of that video on Instagram is something. So I'm glad people are talking about my school bus safety because it's a real thing. I'm astonished that not everybody or every state and province treats it exactly the same way. You would think they would. School bus sign and lights go on. That's the flashing overhead reds and a flashing stop sign. They go out. You would think that everyone would stop and you wouldn't pass. Now, you cannot pass anywhere when that's out. But what's interesting is it's not all states for oncoming traffic. And what they qualify a road as in Ohio, apparently, is if it has 4 lanes, it's divided, even though there's no divider except a painted line or a turning lane. But anyway, this ain't that. We're not talking about that. What we are talking about is stuff that matters to you. And a video that Diamond and Diamond posted that I'll share with you in a moment. But we're talking about all the things we're going to talk about. Whatever you bring up. We're currently broadcasting on X, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And if you got questions, I tend to have answers. Some of them that piss people off. Hey, congratulations to the 2025 Class 2 of the Peel Regional Police. I attended their graduation ceremony today. It was amazing. Evandro, my Brazilian fan, has taken his inspiration from watching this show and determining that he wants to become a police officer. He became an auxiliary officer with Peel Regional Police, and not that long after, he has now graduated as a police constable. Congratulations, brother. It is so good to see. I'm so proud of you. What an amazing ride it's been, and I'm glad to say that, and be able to say that I was part of it. And it's so cool. So congratulations to all of the 79 new officers the Peel Regional Police Service swore in today. Man, good-looking crew. A lot of people who are going to do amazing stuff for their community. Because what are the police? As the valedictorian said, Sir Robert Peel says, the police are the public and the public are the police. We're just people who happen to be part of the public who want to help people. It's amazing. It's awesome. It's phenomenal. It's the deal. And yet people want to vilify the police, and I don't know why. Liz, good day, good evening, good evening. Is it raining where you is? Because I see those emojis. I did hear some razzmatazz on the glass, so maybe it's raining. Hopefully we maintain the internet connection, because sometimes when the stormy stuff comes in, people lose their internet. We got Epic Life Enthusiast who says, good evening, Sean. Hope you're enjoying your requirement and spending time with family. He says retirement. I know. I got to tell you, today, I was reliving the experience of graduating, and I was like, man, I could do this again. I could apply. There was a guy 46 years old with 7 kids in that class. I think he said 7 kids. I could. I don't have 7 kids, but I could. If he can do it, I can do it. I can go back. Can I go back? Maybe I go back. I don't know. A lot of folks jumping into the live on Instagram. Some names I know, some names I don't. Hello to all. Joy Smith Foundation, how are you? Good to see you. They do good work. And let's see here. Root, why do you think speed cameras work? We'll talk about that in a second, because I'm going to play the video about speed cameras. Joseph and Rack and Root, what are your thoughts on speed cameras getting cut down? Ooh, we can definitely talk about that. That's the follow-up to the other question. JC De Los Reyes, how you doing? Good to see you, brother. And we got looking there. Okay, we're going to talk about those those speed cameras in just a second. It's Danny says, hello, sir. Thank you for your service. My service has completed, but I continue to serve as a civilian, doing what I do right here. I am a former police officer, but I appreciate the appreciation. Thank you. Shirtless John says, hello, beautiful people. And Louis says, is it Louis or Louis? Do we have this conversation every time I see your name? I don't know. By the way, if you're watching on TikTok, please tap the screen. If you're not already following this channel, please follow it everywhere, including YouTube. Trying to hit 1,000 followers on YouTube. That is like the platform that I struggle with. It is a slow grow. A lot of people, we just don't see that tremendous rocket ship growth. And I would like to be able to get customer service to be able to answer my calls. And you need 1,000 followers to do that. So I think we're at like 890 or something like that. Anyway, your following would be greatly appreciated. And of course, these are all simulcasts. So everything you see here is, and in fact, this live stream will be available as a playback on YouTube. So if you ever want to watch any of the like 500 episodes, 500 episodes, you can go there. You can also get us on Apple podcast. You can watch all the replays and listen to all the replays while you drive legally, listening legally, watching not legally while you're driving. Okay. We have Lewis who says, do you think we should have the castle law in Canada? Definitely. Okay. I'm going to make some notes because y'all bringing up some good stuff here. Good stuff. Castle law is one that people tend to misinterpret. So let's talk about castle. We're going to talk about red light and automated enforcement. Okay. We'll talk about that. Boom, boom, boom. Melody says, I don't make the rules, I just enforce them. And that's true. Police officers don't make the rules, although often they do consult on them in panels and part of discussion groups. So yeah. Bizarre Sonia likes my baby AI. Do we just drop the baby? Do we just put the video on and then you know what's going on? Okay. Before we get into it, before we get into too much, because I'm going to get deep in the weeds and totally forget that there's other things that I want to talk about. Why don't I see what I want to see here? Let me see if I got the right profile on. This is the one? No. Well, what did I press here? Wait, no, that's the wrong button. Okay. Here we go. I think this is it. Did it work? Did it work? Did it work now? Oh, come on. How about this button? How about that button? How about this button? None of the bloody buttons are working. Oh, maybe it's down here. Ooh, let's see. Oh, that one worked. Okay. I think we go through this a little bit every time because I have different profiles for different shows because we have the daytime show and the After Dark show. This is the After Dark version. It's After Dark. I recently found out that Ben Shapiro has now begun Ben After Dark. I will tell you that Ben Shapiro, I'm Sean Shapiro, often confused. We are not the same person. I know. It's not just the beard, but he started After Dark after I started After Dark, like by months. So I think Ben is watching the show. And if you are watching the show, Ben, I think we should be part of the Daily Wire. Just saying. You need an Ontario traffic news guy, educator segment. And having the same name just makes it sound like we're related and it'll just be acceptable that you start paying me. Okay, We got the, okay, I'm going to show you the clip. I'm going to show you the clip. Here we go. Add scene, media. And let's go and say video. And where is the clip? The clip didn't load? Say it ain't so. Come on. Can I hit the button and say upload it again? I hate to have to upload this twice, but I'm up. Oh, there. Now it shows up.
John,
Okay.
we need to talk about all the speed cameras. I literally, when I'm driving to work, I see it on my ways. It's just like they're everywhere. What is your problem?
Well,
It's not Sean's problem.
the only problem I have with speed cameras is that they're not on every road. We have a problem with people who don't follow the law.
Yeah.
Like, at all. And the speed cameras give you about 10% leeway. So you're not just speeding a couple of kilometers. You're going over significantly when you take it into consideration. 15 over is 25% over the limit. And people are doing 10 over pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, I think that's a good leeway, don't you think?
Well, you're breaking the law at 1 kilometer over. Technically.
I feel like there should be a negotiable grace.
There should be a Diana law, quite frankly.
I pressed the wrong button. I absolutely love that. That is so great. We talked about doing those. It was a surprise. I saw it like just randomly show up on my feed, and then I went back and saw that they invited me to share the content. I appear on their podcast on a regular basis. Love them. They support the show financially. They're contributors to better traffic safety and education, the not-for-profit organization that I started a year ago when I left the Toronto Police. So it's the Canadian Organization for Better Traffic Safety and Education, and they are supporters. They help keep the lights on, and that's important because they care about you. They actually want people to be safe, and they want to reduce the collisions and tragedy on the road, and they do that in part by contributing to the show. So thank you to Diamond & Diamond. And if you're looking for a personal injury lawyer or a lawyer about stuff and things, you should talk to them. And they have cute little baby things that they do occasionally that I'm part of. I thought that was awesome. If you haven't seen that, you just saw it. But if you want to see it again, go to the Instagram voiceover cop and it's on there. Okay. What do we talk about? Okay. That video was about the automated enforcement. Let's talk about automated enforcement for a minute, which JC knows all about. What do I think about them was the question. I think that was the question. I think it's great. Police can't be everywhere, and yet enforcement needs to be done everywhere. We need more cops on the road. 79 just joined the Peel Regional Police, and police agencies across the province are getting new coppers today or in the vicinity nearby because they all graduated. So all their respective graduations are going to happen. We need more cops. And when we need more cops, it's because we're short on cops, and they're going to fill in on other things. And people who are just speeding, just generally doing what they want, well, they're causing issues in neighborhoods, sometimes tragic, sometimes not. But if you let something fester, get worse, go uncorrected, well, it becomes part of something that is harder to remedy. Now, the follow-up question was, what do you think about people cutting them down? I think they should be thrown in jail. I think they should be, or we just electrify all the cameras. So we electrocute these. I was going to say something. I was going to be really nasty. We're just going to say not nice people with big feelings that they don't know how to handle. They don't know how to handle their big feelings. So they cut down cameras that belong to the taxpayers like you and me, which then cost more taxpayer money. And they complain probably about taxes too. But they go and they vandalize these cameras. And like until you get laser beacon gun turret things to protect them, electrifying might work. Either way, I think they should be jailed for whatever, period of time that would ensure that they no longer have fun. I think these people are pathetic. That's what I think of them. Anyway, if you got questions about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff, by all means, you are in the right place and you should ask the question in the chat. It will take some time till we get to you, but I will try and get to you. Let's get back to YouTube comments from Epic Life Enthusiast. We have a suggestion. I got to say, it's a pretty good one. One it's crossed my mind. You and your fellow officers should partner with Waze and Google Maps. Use your voice to tell drivers to slow down or get a ticket and license suspension. What a great idea. So very often Waze will have celebrity guest voices. I can actually program one myself and send it to people and they can upload it themselves. However, doing it as a thing with them where they offer my voice as a as a downloadable option to be told by the TikTok traffic cop that they're doing it wrong. I think that's a great idea. And I think you should start writing them, and I will follow up and write to them too. 100%. Not a firefighter. I just saw you pop in. What's going on, brother? Let me scroll back. And by the way, Thomas Milner, thank you for the roses. I saw a couple of gifts. If you do give gifts on TikTok or through what is the other thing we do? Buy Me a Coffee, which is not really buying me a coffee, it's just a platform. If you go to Buy Me a Coffee voiceover cop, it'll go to Better Traffic, which is the not-for-profit. But anything you want to contribute was much appreciated. It's all about keeping the lights on and trying to make roads safer everywhere. The next question that came in was from Louis, and I keep flip-flopping as to which way we go for the name. Someone tell me if it's Luis. Is it Louis or Lewis? You tell me. So the question was, do we think we should have castle law in Canada? Now, castle law differs in interpretation. There is castle law, which suggests that if you are in your home, you can do anything you need to do to protect your home. And then there's the concept of not requiring an opportunity to retreat, a stand your ground law, which I think people tend to intermingle and get confused. So is your home your castle? Can you defend yourself with deadly force? Not just because someone broke in, not in Canada. You can't just shoot someone for breaking in. You can't just, end their day early because they walked onto your lawn. Which some people believe in some states you can. And I'll tell you, I've taken the concealed weapons course for the state of Florida, and they're pretty liberal. They have a stand your ground. They have a law that says that your vehicle and your home are your castle, and you can use deadly force to protect yourself. But it's not that like you. The scenario when I took the course was you're sitting watching TV, and someone walks in, picks up your television, and starts walking out with it. Can you shoot them? The answer was no, which would go against what most people believe. They believe you can just do whatever you want in castle law or castle doctrine. It's not the case. You still have to have the risk of serious injury or death for yourself or for another that you're protecting using deadly force. So, do I think that we should have the ability to use deadly force? We already have that in the Criminal Code of Canada. You can use deadly force. You're going to be held accountable if you shouldn't have used deadly force. And that's the same in the States. It's just it's written a little looser, I think. Oh, hi, Philippe. How you doing? I see it's Sonia's son using Sonia's account. How's it going? All right. Love says, I'm afraid to drive it. Drive what? Is it Dips says, what can I say to help my lie about not knowing I did something illegal? I don't know. Don't lie. Okay. Just came from downtown Toronto. See the QEW and every other car, e-bike, scooter, pedestrians doing everything. So apparently Toronto is the hotspot for illegal driving. The truth is everywhere is the hotspot. Everyone seems to be doing it wrong, which is pretty sad. It's the frequency in which I collect good camera footage of bad drivers, good quality footage of people driving poorly is shocking. Like every single time I'm on the road, I'm hitting the button manually recording. I was recently given an amazing video from a friend of mine from that guy, that driving guy, the Brian Max guy, race car driver, race team principal, that guy. And he sent me a video from his dash camera, which was, by the way, crystal clear, where someone made a left turn and caused a collision. And it was epic. It was great. So I'm going to share that, not tonight, because I didn't upload it, but I will soon. And I think you'll be amazed at what you see. Okay. By the way, if you're just jumping in, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer, and I'm the guy that goes around answering questions about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. So if you don't already follow me, please do. And please share the live. If you're on TikTok, please tap the screen till your fingers go numb. And it brings more people to the party, and more people means more questions. More questions mean, well, unique things to talk about. What is this? We got Liz who says, I know that you don't like people to be warned of speed cameras. If I'm using my iPhone for directions, sometimes I'll get warnings. How does my iPhone know where they are? Very good question. Well, they're published locations. If you go to the city of Toronto, they publish it. And then that information is shared with Waze. And I think they're trying to get people to slow down by announcing it. Now, obviously, not everybody uses Waze or other software enabled navigation systems. So not everybody gets the little heads up. And the goal is that if they get the heads up, they might slow down. And if they don't pay attention, then they're going to get dinged. But you're right. I don't like people getting warnings, because why should we have to tell someone there's a camera that's going to catch them breaking the law in this particular location, which allows them to slow down, avoid getting caught, and then speed up once they passed it? Now, the reality is it's almost every block now. Red light camera coming up, speed camera, speed zone. Speed limit is 60. Like, if that just keeps coming, you're either going to ignore it and do whatever the heck you want because you ignore it and do whatever you want, or it's effective and you're going to slow down. Either way, person gets a ticket or a person doesn't get a ticket and changes their behavior. And it's the change of behavior that I'm really after. Like, I don't want people to speed. I want people to be safe. Okay. Liz says the video was cute, and Epic Life Enthusiast says I'm adorable as a baby, but a baby with a beard, and they really shrunk the glasses. The glasses are nearly perfect.
John, we need to talk about all the speed cameras. I literally, when I'm driving to work, I see it on my Waze. It's just like they're everywhere. What is your problem?
Well, the only
It's Sean's problem.
well, the only problem I have with speed cameras is that they're not on every road. Okay, I'll just mute it and let it play. That's pretty amazing. I'm so impressed. I need to figure out what they did to make this, because I want to make all of my videos look like this. Just awesome. Yeah. Okay. Let's get back into here. Love says the police are our protectors. They are. And Bernhard's in here. The police have a heck of a job. And, as the chief of Peel said, police officers are of the highest scrutinized. I think it was the chief. There were a number of speeches, but I think it was the chief who said, they've joined the most scrutinized position. I think it's the single most scrutinized, more than doctors, lawyers combined, likely, because there's so many different bodies that are busy sharing and watching, and the public's watching. Everyone's watching, and which is fine. I'm not worried about being watched. If you do something right, you got nothing to worry about. If you do something wrong, then you deserve to get caught, which is the same as about enforcement. But man, are people like paying attention with police to the point where you can't get out and get a coffee because someone's got a problem with it. I paid my taxes and not pay your salary. Let's see here. Damon wants to know, hey, can I overtake on a dotted line on my side? What is this? Hey, can I overtake on a dotted line on my side with a solid line in oncoming traffic side? That's exactly what that means. If you have a dotted line on your side, it's saying, okay, hang on. Lines are suggestions in the province of Ontario, where they are primarily laws in other places. But in Ontario, those lines are good suggestions. It means that the other side should not pass, but you have visibility and you could pass there if safe. You're still responsible for whatever you do. Double solid, regardless of color. Well, actually, no. Color. Does anyone know what the color means? Yellow lines means that the traffic on the other side of the lines is going in the opposite direction. White lines mean that the vehicles on the other side of the line are going in the same direction, which most people get wrong. They think one is law and one is caution. That's not the case. It's about direction of travel. Back it up. Solid lines means you should not cross. Double lines or dotted lines suggest that you can cross safely, but you still have to make your own decision based on the road conditions and what you see, your observations. But then you get into the whole deal about the mixed lines. So if it's two lines and they're both solid, nobody should pass. If one side is dotted, that line would have visibility, and so on and so forth. I think I'm circular talking now, but that is the story. So yes, you could in your situation, as long as it's safe. Lisa says it's so depressing. I don't know what's so depressing, but the rain is so depressing. Gotcha. Love wants to ask a question. Of course you can, Love. We got howdy, sir, from the board repair guy. How you doing, brother? Been watching your videos. Not a firefighter says, what are your thoughts on flock cameras popping up everywhere? I have to admit that I don't know what a flock camera is. Please tell me, and once I'm educated, I can comment, because I'm probably aware of it, but not under that name. So, we can Google it. Should we Google it? I think we should Google it. Flock camera. Sometimes it's actually not a thing, and it's just a whatchamacallit, flock safety. Shaping the future of safety together. Book a demo here. I'm just looking at their website. Safety is something we create together, but how? Their website actually looks awesome. That's really cool how you scroll. Woo wee. So, public safety technology ecosystem, we provide safety solutions to law enforcement, neighborhoods, and businesses. So this is interesting. So this is just give me the rundown. What is it? Oh, integrated stuff, drones, fixed cameras. Okay, actually, this is really interesting. I'm going to look more into it before I really comment, but I like the idea of having cameras everywhere. Not Big Brother. I don't want them, the government in my, rear, but I do like it when we catch bad guys. It's a tough situation, isn't it? I don't want people in my business, but when my business gets gotten into, I want those people apprehended and thrown in jail for a long, long time. And without the evidence, it's really hard to do that. I mean, I have cameras all over my house. I want cameras at my house, and my cameras obviously overlap into my neighbors' places. And when my neighbor had their truck stolen out of their driveway, the police were knocking on my door going, "Hey, could we have the video from your doorbell?" To which I say, "Of course, because I want you to get those bad guys and I want them to never see light again." Simple as that. So in principle, I like cameras a lot. I just don't want people looking at me unless there's a reason to. And if you look at the way the UK is doing it, I don't like it. The UK has cameras on all corners and the police are actively monitoring, and then they're dispatching people. "Why are you, taking pictures with your phone? You're suspicious." That ain't cool. I'm not up for that. That is some 1984 stuff, and I'm not interested in that. So I have mixed messaging here. Decepticons Forever says that's not true. What are we talking about? Root, somebody said something. Decepticons Forever says, "Hey Sean, how you doing?" I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. And then Route 9 says, "Do you pay your tickets? Or do you have a friend who will get you off?" If you're talking to me, the last ticket I received was for parking when I was taking a family member to the hospital. I parked too close to an intersection. It was $50 and I paid it because you know what? I was wrong. And I'm a grown-ass man. And when I make a mistake, I pay the ticket and I learn from it. I will never park within 9 meters of an intersection again. I did not know because I'm not the parking guy. Aaron's the parking person. And my opportunity to say that I actually called Erin before I parked there to say, "Hey, am I allowed to park here?" And she said yes. And she was wrong because I didn't give a good enough description. So I give her a hard time about telling me where I could park and where not to park. But it was really my fault and I can't blame her. Just don't tell her that I admitted that it was my fault. Okay. Route 9 says all cops have a friend that they just dropped that name and they'll never get a ticket. All cops are cops. So cops don't need to drop a name of a cop. They are cops. Their name works. And there is something called professional courtesy. It's optional and not guaranteed, but I can tell you that I gave civilians breaks on the regular. If someone said, "You know what, officer, I'm really sorry. I'm an idiot. I shouldn't have done that," I was very likely not going to give them a ticket that was serious, possibly a reduced speed, or a lesser offense. Let's say they were speeding and they also forgot their driver's license. Maybe I just gave them the driver's license ticket. Why would I not extend the same privilege to a police officer? Most people understand that. And it's not that I'm giving special privileges. I'm just more inclined to give someone who admits to doing the wrong thing when they've done the wrong thing a pass, or at least a reduction. And if they're on duty police, they wouldn't give them a ticket because they can do almost anything. Anyway, but Root is really stuck on this. Okay, moving on. Boop-a-doo. All right, we got here. Floyd Lightman, how you doing, my friend? And then Sonya's son says, Sonya says, I'm right beside him. He likes watching the lives with me. So he wanted to type hi. Hello. Let's see here. We got walk safely, drive carefully. I like that. That was a comment from Instagram. Basharat Ali, I'm sure. How are you, Sir Sean? Walk safely, drive carefully, take care of you and others. Love from Pakistan. Basharat Ali is a police officer there. And it's good to see you. It's good to, well, not see you, but hear from you online. It's great to be seen. We've not, I'm doing these shows only twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week during the summer because I got so much going on with family and getting out and trying to create footage while I'm out there for a project. So I've been less live. I'm usually here 5 days a week. In any case, it is good to see you. And as we get closer to this, the fall, we're probably going to get online a lot more frequently. Oh, Melody. Yeah, Melody, definitely. Good guy to ask. Melody's talking to the board repair guy who does repair all sorts of like board level repairs. And the question was, do you repair HID headlamp assemblies? I'm eager to see if he responds. You should go to his channel and send him a message in case he's not live anymore. Okay. Got a ticket for overtaking in a dotted line on my side with a solid line on incoming. That's from Damon. So Damon earlier asked if it was legal, and then he says, I actually got a ticket. Were you overtaking and it was an unsafe maneuver? And what was the charge? And what province or state are you in? Because it depends on everything. Laws differ depending on where you go. Oh, the board repair guy does fix HID boards. Okay, moving along. That's awesome. I love it when we make connections here on the show. And by the way, Melody is a mechanic and knows lots of stuff and things. And I got a picture earlier today saying somebody failed a tint test. Did you know that mechanics have to test tint when they certify a vehicle? And if the tint is too dark, they cannot certify. Tint is a thing, and there's a legal requirement to not be beyond a certain percentage in order to get certified. Oddly enough, that percentage would also render the vehicle unsafe for the road, meaning you'd lose your license plates. A lighter tint might only get you a ticket for obscuring the interior of your motor vehicle. And I don't know why, but that makes me happy. So many people just think they can black stuff out, like completely, as it's called, murder out the car, make it all black. It looks awesome. I am not going to lie. It looks tremendous. However, driving with it sucks. And traffic safety in the surrounding area of that vehicle sucks. Just saying. We got here Melody there. Yeah, that's a big price. Pay $2,700 to replace an HID assembly. That sounds gross. What is this? So Bizarro Sonia says, I have a picture to send you at Lawrence and Wilson. There's a little strip with some parking spots. And if one of those cars are backing up into traffic, if they collide, who's at fault? Please send it to me. I look forward to looking at that and we could talk about it, sometime soon. It helps to be able to see it. Okay. Ant Kodacombe? I'm not pronouncing that right. Hi, Sean. I had a question about some fishing gear. Fishing gear isn't really my thing, but as long as it's not dynamite, I might be able to answer. I'm not a fisherman. I do like to fish on occasion. Yeah. Now I really want to know, what is your fishing gear question? I doubt I can answer it, but I'm now really eager to find out what the question is. Stephen Bell says, good afternoon, Sean. And we have missed the afternoon, Stephen. It is now definitely evening, if not night at 9:30. It is after dark. If you're just joining us, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff, and I am happy to try and answer your questions. I don't have answers to everything, like fishing stuff, but I do make an effort, and I do happen to have a specialty in traffic safety, traffic law, and I was a police officer, and I was a court officer, and I was an auxiliary officer, so I have all sorts of experience, but when I left the job, it was as the traffic safety programs guy at Traffic Services, because traffic is my life. Anybody learning any languages? Anyone Duolingo? I'm a Duolingo person for the last 16 days. I made a deal with my kiddos. If they did 50 days, I would buy them the family pass. So now I am also Duolingoing. And the question is, what language do you Duolingo? Because I'm into Spanish. I'm learning all sorts of stuff. But how many languages is too many languages to learn simultaneously? What is? Oh, yes. Oh, interesting. Sergeant Frank says, hi, Sean. Can you answer a question for your fans? If you're the first car at a red light, an emergency vehicle comes up behind you, could you go through the red light when safe to do so? The answer is no. You do not have the authority to enter an intersection before it's green. It would be a charge. You would be liable. Well, first of all, no one's going to charge you. It's unlikely that anyone's going to charge you. But if you caused a collision, you caused the collision. If you pull into traffic, you have no authority. The people behind you do, and they should have planned better. They should have gone into oncoming traffic, which would have stopped because they have lights and sirens, And then they could have done that safely. And if they were stuck behind you because traffic built up, then they should wait to activate their emergency equipment until it's a green light. Do not enter an intersection on a green unless you're making a legal right-hand turn on the red, and that's in a jurisdiction that allows it, assuming there's no signs preventing you from doing it. Yes. Cool. If you got dad jokes, I love reading dad jokes at the end of the show. So please send them, and I'll flag them, and we'll say we'll read them. That's how it works. And then we'll either give it a "I was loud" or a "not so great." We'll evaluate and see what's up. Sergeant Frank says, "Learn Spanish. It'll help when I retire to Ecuador." And I got to tell you the funniest thing. So when I open up the app, they'll have different voices reading different things. But there's one who sounds like it is the narrator to the telenovela. And whenever it says things in Spanish and it says, I don't know, yo quiero Taco Bell, I want to read it back in the same voice. So I crack into that low tone, and I do exactly that. And my kids howl. It is fun. Okay. Epic Life Enthusiast says, when I got my G license 20 years ago, I was speeding 50 over the speed on the highway to Niagara Falls for a medical emergency at the U.S. Customs. I was the emergency contact. I got pulled over by the OPP. I explained the situation. The officer escorted me. She gave me a break and did not give me a ticket for 20 over. I paid the ticket. Oh, did give you a ticket for 20 over. That's an awesome deal. I often talk about emergencies and how there is no emergency that allows you the authority to speed. And it's true. There's none. The truth is, we talk about guaranteed arrival all the time as police. And if you are speeding and cause a collision, you're not helping anybody. Even if you're a police officer speeding in a situation that's not safe, you're not going to be any good to anyone if you don't get there. And if you should cause a collision, you've just created more casualties, more people who need emergency services. So not only are you now sucking the life out of the available units of emergency service response, but you're not there to help the first person. So now there's just more mess. Hey, we have hey from Pontypool, Ontario. My brother is TPS 41. Thomas, good to see you. Thanks for saying hey. Oh, and I'm way behind on the comments on TikTok. My apologies to all who are waiting, saying he's not even reading this. I am. I'm just not reading it quickly. Let's see here. We got some dialogue amongst people. Oh yeah, it just scrolled way up. All right, let me scroll back. Jeremy says, sorry, I just tuned in. Did you touch on the difference between lines and yellow lines on the road? Yes. And if you missed it, go and check it out on YouTube, where all the episodes are available for playback. You can even play it back at high speed. And if you wait until the subtitles are, I think you can even search for the actual words. So yeah, I definitely talked about that, and we can't get back into it again because my goodness. What do we got here? Is there a way to get police to start doing more radar on service roads? Talk to your local police. They have a complaints department, and tell them what the situation is. They will likely send people your way. All right. Lots of follows here. Well, thank you very much. Oh, where do we go here? Proper reflectors. Okay, I'm getting into the weeds. Let me go back here. Without insurance driving car, ? Without licensed driving car? What are we talking about? Zabe just throws questions without context. And context really does help me when answering them. So they said, without licensed driving car, you want to know what the charge is? You want to know, are you going to jail? Or are you just going to, make what do you want to know? What's the fine? Please specify. And then with driving without a insurance on the car, even more serious than driving without a license. I think the fine is in the vicinity of $300 for no license. No demerit points because you have no license. But it is one of those things that make sure you get, it goes in the big book. And then driving without insurance, that's a $5,000 to $25,000 fine range for your first offense and up to 6 months in jail. And I think that everyone should go straight to jail when they get the no insurance, because it is an epidemic. It is such an issue, and so many people do it and fraudulently think they will go and open an insurance policy, pay 1 month, and then stop paying. So it'll get canceled. But they have these great pieces of paper that look like they're valid for 6 months to a year. And when they get stopped, they often appear to get away with it until something bad happens, or the officer switched on and realizes they have 3 years to lay the charge for drive no insurance. So they go and they sit in court between sessions and use their trusty issued cell phones and call the insurance companies and go through the Rolodex of all the insurance cards they've scanned while they were out on the road, and then go back and write all the tickets for that, all the 104s, part 3s. Just saying. Okay. Z says, but speed cameras don't deter speeding. Speed humps deter speeding. Speed cameras do deter speeding, but they don't do it physically. They're both deterrents. One stings after the fact. One truly prevents speeding, unless you just want to like donate your suspension system. But some people don't care. They'll speed even with that. Listen, there's two different things. First of all, speed humps and bumps, they're terrible for Canada, for Ontario, with snow removal, the damage to the road when they plow them. It's constant work. Is a camera a better option? I think so. But I think we should do what the UK does and Australia does, and not give people a ticket that is simply to the registered owner of the vehicle. I think we should also take a picture of the driver and then ding their license and pump their insurance through the roof. That would change driving a lot faster. A lot faster. I'd love to see that happen. Listen, full transparency. I want cameras on every road, on every stop sign, on every traffic signal. I want anyone who violates to get caught. And I want them to lose their license. I want them to get points. I want their insurance to go up. One of the reasons our insurance is so high is because people aren't being held accountable, but in the same level for the car thefts that are occurring. I mean, we're paying for it. The bad guys are. But if we have more cameras, we'll be able to catch more bad guys. That's the theory. And bad guys include those who are, well, choosing not to follow the traffic laws because they're putting others at risk, whether they've caused a collision today or not. What is the purpose of the special constable? They carry or take care of a large number of calls and duties that regular police officers don't have to deal with because they exist, like canvassing for evidence. They can go door to door and ask people if they saw anything suspicious last night. They don't have to take a police officer who has a firearm and could be called to respond to an urgent call. They have someone who can take the time and invest it into things, to go collect the evidence of cameras and things like that. Now, they're still uniformed officers. There are still people who could be assaulted or maybe, and have powers of arrest to intervene with certain things, but they have different powers of arrest. Whereas a police officer has full authority under the criminal code to make arrests for fines committing offenses and to act on reasonable probable grounds. Like they have a different threshold of things that need to be met in order for them to take place to make an arrest. For instance, citizens arrests. You can make an arrest in Canada for an indictable offense that you find someone committing. But that doesn't mean you should. It just means you have the authority to. Indictable offense, fines committing. Now, if you know what that is, great. If you don't, definitely don't make people an arrest because you're going to get charged yourself and sued, and your house will go to the person that you arrested for false, for imprisonment or for false arrest, potentially. You got to know the rules. Now, special constables have expanded rules. In certain situations, they can execute warrants. They can use reasonable probable grounds under certain circumstances. They're expansions from that of a civilian power, and it's great. They do great work. I was a special constable before I became a police officer. They do great work, and I'm glad we have them. Offender transport, Hunter says it's true. They also do that. So police, so court officers is what I started as, but then they became expanded to do region or district special constables. So they would actually do the things like canvassing and whatnot, prisoner transportation. There's the court side of it for courthouse security and courthouse management. And then there's prisoner transportation between. There's a ton of different things that they do. The Arena, what's going on? Arena West Side. I was just with, we were just in the same place. Now it depends. I don't know who's running that particular account, but I was just with one of your peeps today at the graduation, seeing some of the folks who went to the Arena doing magical things. I think, and was it not the valedictorian was someone who trained at the Arena at one point? That was very exciting. Okay. Oop-a-doo. Cass, okay. Not a firefighter clarifies. We were talking at the very beginning of the show, and we were talking about castle doctrine and stand your ground laws and duty to retreat are different laws depending on where you live. That's good to point out. Uh, they do mean different things, but the basic principles are similar, but it depends on what laws you're and what jurisdiction you're in. Hayes says, "Why don't we have castle law on Canada? We need it." Hmm. I worry about people who misinterpret law. I'm not saying you do, but I'm worried about giving people. Like, we already have the ability to use a lot of force. It's the people who misunderstand it and think they have the right to simply use force, and that's where people get into big problems. But I agree. There's a lot of things I think we should have here. What is this? Liz has a question. What are your personal thoughts on HOV lanes on our 400 series highways? I don't personally like them, as some drivers treat them like they're on the Autobahn when others are literally doing 80 kilometers an hour. My thing is, I do not like speeders. I don't like people who are breaking the law, making people unsafe. Sorry, let me rephrase that. They are being unsafe and putting others' safety at risk. So a HOV lane's intention is to reward those that are carpooling or have qualified vehicles like green plated vehicles to go faster than not moving. It is not a high speed lane. It is not the race lane. It is not the zoom zoom. It means that if it's a gridlock everywhere else, then you should allow that lane to travel at a modest 30 or 40 kilometers an hour. Speed differential matters. If you're doing 100 when everybody else is doing 0, that is a recipe for disaster and is not the right way to drive. But people don't understand this and they do it. And then someone pulls out, also breaking the law, crossing over the lines that they're not allowed to cross, and kaboomskis, we have a fatality. And it's very dangerous. I do see the benefit. I would buy a Tesla just so I could use that lane. I haven't, obviously, but I would, just to have access to that lane. It's cool to go when nobody else can go. But when everybody's moving, either don't use that lane or just don't speed. Because I see, like, I use that lane. If I got more than one person in the car, I'm in that lane. It's a reason to have children. But I'm not going to go faster than the speed limit. So if you're behind me and you're anxious about the fact that I'm doing 100 in the 100 zone, tough noogies. I'm not going faster. And then they can do what they got to do to pass me, because it's not the fast lane. It's definitely not the fast lane. The fast lane is to my right, not the HOV lane. But I don't have a problem with HOV lanes. I have a problem with people who abuse them, as I think you do based on the way you asked the question. Can I refuse an order from a police officer if the police officer ordered me to assist in an arrest of a person? I've never asked a civilian to help me. I've had people come and help me. And I gotta tell you, at first it's kind of nerve-wracking, because you're like, who the heck is this? And are they friend or foe? And sometimes I prefer people don't. But there's times when coppers have been very thankful of the help. And even before I was a police officer, I would always stop. If I saw a large number of people and only one police officer, and I could see the body language was such that it was, and I was a court officer at the time, and I stopped. And I'm like, court officer, you okay? He's like, yeah, no, stand by, and sometimes it's great. I wouldn't just go hands on. But can you refuse if someone asks? If you don't help because you don't feel safe, I couldn't fault you for it. I personally couldn't fault you for it. But is there a law? I don't even know. I've never gone down that road. Oh, it's Giselle. Okay. So the Arena West Side is the person I was sitting next to at the graduation. It was so exciting. And yes, I was correct about the person who graduated, the valedictorian. Okay. Better to do 10 under than 10 over. Or is it better to do 10 under or 10 over? That's a personal decision. One's lawful, one's not. 10 under is legal. Just stay to the right. 10 over is not. Now, granted, 10 over might be 30 kilometers less than the average speed. You make your own decision. But if you get ticketed for 10 over, that's your decision who got you there. All right. Are they exempt to drive while using their phones? This is Coach Nick 2018. Are police exempt from using their phones? Yes. Police members of a police service who are operating police vehicles are in fact exempt from using their telephones, their communication devices whilst operating a motor vehicle. Firefighters, paramedics, they're all exempt too. Parking enforcement officers, they're in police vehicles, technically exempt. If you read how, am I correct? Am I extending it to parking enforcement officers on? I have to reread that. It's driving police vehicles, but then police officers have an exemption outside of that. But at the end of the day, there are other people who are exempt. Mechanics, while operating test equipment, related to the programming of the vehicle, they can have a computer there. There's exemptions for them. Certain truck drivers under certain passes using their walkie-talkies have an exemption. Amateur radio operators, of which I am one, have an exemption for using their walkie-talkies, which are outside of, I say walkie-talkies, amateur band radios, outside of the limitations that the average person has. So not only police are exempt, there's a ton of people who are exempt for different functions and purposes. And that's a good thing. Okay, scrolling through. Hey, if you're just jumping in, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. And I would love to answer your questions. Now, I am here until what time? Oh, we're approaching an hour. I do this for an hour, although it tends to go long. I don't want to go long because I want to go to bed because I've been tired today. I woke up and I did not feel well because I was up late making a gift for a graduate, for a newly minted police officer that I brought to the event today. So, yeah. Not a firefighter says, I believe in Canada and many states, the response must be proportional to the threat. I think that's a good rule, or baseline. What's reasonable? Depends. Everything depends. At the end of the day, if the depends, I will say this, in the United States, I think a lot of people would give you an award for shooting a bad guy. In Canada, you're probably going to get arrested. And that bothers me. It does bother me. Because I think we should be able to defend ourselves a little more liberally. Yeah. J.D. Solomon says, I was recently driving 407 ETR and seeing a Colorado license plate. Will the owner be billed? You know what? I don't know about the billing. It's a private company that does it. I think they will be billed. I just don't know how it works. I mean, I've been billed by the Florida Turnpike, so I imagine that they would send a bill. Whether they would enforce it, would it have any impact on their license if they don't pay it? That's a different situation. Colette wants to know how I feel about lane splitting. Had a car lane split on the 403. Well, first of all, it's dangerous driving, stunt driving, or careless driving at the very least. Now, I usually read it out the other way, but lately I believe that dangerous driving is the most appropriate. It's simple. It's so dangerous, and you ought to know that it's dangerous. You ought to know it's dangerous, and that's criminal. If you knew it was dangerous and you did it anyway, that's a criminal charge of dangerous driving. Whereas if you are stunt, maybe you combine it with stunt, like stunt driving would be high speed, zigzaggedy through. That's definitely stunt, but it could also be dangerous. And careless driving at the very least. Now, I usually talk about this in relation to motorcycles. I've never seen a car do it. I don't think I've ever seen a car do it. Like, how do you have room between lanes to stuff a car? What kind of car were we talking about? Was that a Fiat? I don't know what else could squeeze through. But yes, someone did this on the link in Hamilton as well. No kidding. Listen, I think that this is the best time to have dash cameras. I'd like to have all sorts of technology on the road to be able to hammer down on those people. But half the time when it comes to motorcycles, they don't even have license plates or insurance or licenses when they're out doing stupid things. So it's a problem. Anything that is putting others at risk, I think we should be hammering down on. And yes, other people would feel the impact of the tightening of the strings, to not let people get away with it. But the fact remains that we shouldn't be breaking the law even a little bit. People talk about 10 over. You shouldn't be doing 10 over. The posted limit says 100. 100 is the limit, not the starting point. So, yeah. Hayes says, intruder was armed, homeowner defended, and was charged. That tends to be what happens. I don't agree with that. I think that if bad guy comes into my house, I should be able to take care of business if I'm lucky. Now, I'm not suggesting I'm a ninja. But if you get me, I'm not going to be quiet or cooperative, and I might get really hurt, but you're probably going to be more hurt. My house is a bad target for you. I know where all the sharp stuff is. Just saying. Now, I think that I should get an award if I make sure that bad guy sticks around for police to arrive in some capacity or another. I mean, their condition irrelevant, but they should not leave. And that could include having a big dog with sharp teeth. I don't like bad guys, girls or otherwise, bad people who break into homes and terrorize people. It is terrorizing them. It is absolutely. And people who take your stuff. I don't have any sympathy for them, but I don't think they should get arrested. Personal opinion that I think like 99% of people, maybe 99, maybe it's Ontario, it's super liberal. Maybe 90% of people agree with. Like, no one agrees that you should be able to defend yourself. But if I asked people what they would do if someone broke into their home, I would almost guarantee everyone would say they would do whatever it took to protect their own family. It's only when it's your family instead of their family that they care, which is kind of funny and scary and sad all at the same time. Yeah. Moving on. Ryan wants to know why I'm a former police officer and not a police officer. And the answer is it was a family decision based on the needs of my family. And not a day goes by that I don't think about the police and my friends and Blue family there. And it's been a tough nearly year since leaving because I'm at my core a police officer. I've been one since I decided I was going to be a police officer at 12. And it's been tough. And I've questioned, a lot of stuff. I had a conversation about it tonight with a friend of mine and then with my wife about, do I go back? I don't know. Because I left for a reason and a lot of that is past, but not all of it. The reasons that made me leave. So, yeah. Anyway, moving on. Peer report. I don't know. What are your thoughts on? Someone wants to know about a guy who got his window smashed and punched. I don't know what that detail is. Don't know. Hayes says police are overextended. Homeowners need the right to handle it themselves. Again, we talked about it. This is further on the castle principle and self-defense and all that stuff. Millie Mill says 50 kilometer an hour fine up to $10,000, vehicle impounded and suspension, but almost no one follows the speed limit when police sit in the median and watch it happen. Is there an unwritten speed limit somewhere in America? 5 over is a ticket, plain and simple. So every police officer sets their own stuff. Listen, if you were going to pull over everyone for 5 over, everyone, you'd be pulling over every car. And what would happen is you'd pull over the person doing 5 over, and the person doing 50 over would just sail on by because you were busy with the person for 5 over. So you kind of you got to have to make it worthwhile. So you wait for the higher threshold violator. You let the 20 over go on the highway, and you go for the 30 over. But here's my theory, and anyone who's a police officer who's listening to this, please take this one to heart and tell your friends about it. And if you're a civilian, not a police officer, tell a police officer. This is my plan. I'm all for going after the big ticket people. But 1 in 5, take someone who's doing 15 over on the highway. They will tell 50 people that they got a ticket for 15 over and how unreasonable it was. Don't wait for everyone to get a big ticket. Give someone a ticket for doing a little bit over because that will trend. That will change behavior. If you're waiting for 50 over, that means that 49 over is okay. If you're waiting for 40 over, 39 over is okay. We cannot let people just break the laws willy-nilly without consequence. Mix it up a bit. You'll make some waves. Okay, moving along. What is this? 155 kilometers an hour with a lady of the... Oh, come on. What is that? Bernhard says, Sean, who weren't... Oh, yeah. In relation to the video I put up. 59 minutes. Oh, my goodness. We're rapidly approaching an hour. That's why I say we'll do 15 minutes over. That'll end up being a 30 minutes over, but yeah, we'll see what happens. Jesse said... Oh, he talked about this. Moving. Pretty sure it's an automated license plate reader. This is for the cameras we looked at. Flock is a private company that installs license plate readers and provides the photo and data to law enforcement. I think it's cool. If I have a loud car from factory, is it illegal to make sound with it? Yes, it's unnecessary sound, even if it met the requirements from factory. If you're goosing that gas pedal, um, you're making unnecessary noise. If it's not related to the safe operation of the motor vehicle, you can have a Lamborghini 12-cylinder noise machine, and you crack that throttle, and you're eligible for a ticket. Just because it's stock doesn't mean a thing. Okay. Cities contract with Flock to put up cameras all over. They can track vehicles and occupants. There isn't any warrant protection because it's private companies, so it's controversial. I mean, I thought about doing something like this as a not for profit to track speeders. I actually had plotted out the software to. I won't give up the stuff because I might still utilize it. But the idea was called Project Pace Car. In my mind, Pace Car was to have a vehicle doing the appropriate speed, and anyone who passed them would have their information recorded, and that information would be made available to the insurance companies. And wouldn't that be diabolical? Yeah, because they're all increasing their risks, and they should be reported, even if they don't get tickets. Yeah, I thought about that. Okay. Melody says, I don't like that. I don't like that I feel the need to put up cameras at home. Yes, it is unnerving, the concept that I have to put up more cameras. And it's long gone. As a kid, it was ride around on your bicycle at all hours of the night, leave the door unlocked. People weren't garbage, but people are garbage now. A lot more of them anyway. Not all people are garbage. Some people are really good people, but there's a lot of hot garbage out there. Oh, the board repair guy says we should have Meshtastic Meshcore peer reporting of traffic congestion. I think that's great. By the way, anyone who's not already playing with LoRa long range radios, these are 915 megahertz radios that communicate data in small packets. If I'm describing that correctly, but I am having so much fun playing with Meshtastic, which is open source, and it allows you to text message one another in an encrypted fashion without the use of cellular or Wi-Fi. No data, no cost, just direct communication or hopping in a mesh network. That's Meshtastic or Meshcore. Anyway, I haven't installed Meshcore yet. I want to play with that. Preston says, how can we purchase an illegally modified car for the purpose of restoring? What do you mean illegally modified? So if you're purchasing a vehicle that is being illegally modified and you want to restore it back to standard, maybe that's what you're asking. You can purchase it. It's just not unfit for the road. You can't put it on the road. So you can tow it to where you got to go, but you can't get plates for it because it's not legit for the road. The arena, Giselle says, on my way downtown today, I saw a 5-year-old kid in the passenger seat. We were in heavy traffic. Can you report this, or how do you deal with this? Now, you say 5-year-old kid. I'm assuming not in an inappropriate car seat or in a car seat, because in a car seat's actually legal, but in just sitting on like a 5-year-old, if they're in fact 5, would be illegal to be in the seat by seatbelt alone. I see a lot of people taking kids without the appropriate child safety restraint. Now, to be out of a child safety restraint and in the car seatbelt alone, regardless of the location of the vehicle, it's 8 years old, 80 pounds, or 4'9". That would be the requirement to be in a seatbelt alone. But they can be in the front seat. It's not good. We say 14 years old, in the back seat till 14 years old, because that's what's safe. Now you're saying not in a car seat. They clarified. I would call police. That's an emergency, or at least a priority. If you're concerned for the safety of that child, in the event of a collision, that child is not going to make it. They're not capable of being secured properly in that belt. There's a reason there's laws. And if you make that decision and have that concern, I would absolutely support you calling police. If you thought this is a second tier, it's not an emergency, call the non-emergency line. Longer hold. You don't bump somebody out of a 911 spot. But if you think it's okay, how about this? If they're just driving along and they're not wearing the appropriate thing, call the non-emergency line. If the person is combining that child not properly seated with driving behavior that you were more concerned of, maybe that's the real. But at the end of the day, it's your determination or decision as to how to categorize the call, like the priority. What is this? Robert says, did you retire? I did retire from policing almost a year ago. What do we got here? Aga says, hey, Sean, can I pass on a single yellow line? My name is Taha. Hey, Taha. So the story is that in Ontario, if you cross a single yellow line, there's no charge for it. But if you cause a collision after doing it, you're at fault because you've done something that caused a collision. The line itself doesn't have authority. Now, other provinces, it does have authority. So know where you are and do it. Know what you do before you do it. Frank says, Sergeant Frank says, that was another great Tuesday night Q&A with you. Stay safe and see you next week. Yes, we're going to wrap this up, but I'm trying to catch up because there's a bunch of stuff that we didn't get into. Let's see here. I got a ticket one time for $580 and I didn't bother paying it. And ever since I don't pay my tickets. Ryan, you don't have a license. If you got a ticket for $580 and didn't pay for it, you don't have a license, which means not only do you not have license, you don't have insurance because insurance companies don't insure unlicensed drivers. So Ryan, I hate to tell you that you're making bad decisions. And if you get into a collision, you're screwed big time. Just take care of your stuff. Be a grown-up. Ryan says, I called late and went to pay and they said it got thrown out. So with that logic, I thought pay late every time and there's always a chance. That's different. What you made it out to see I totally get what you're saying now. You saying you got a ticket and it got thrown out because you didn't pay it. So you don't pay tickets because you go through the appropriate court process and they get thrown out. But if you actually got convicted, I'm assuming you're going to deal with it because otherwise you're going to get your license suspended. Your insurance won't be covered. So your story was misleading. Although rage bait, you got me. Okay. What is this? We talked about that. Is there any way to ask police to do more radar on service roads? Everyone's doing 90 to 50. Call your local, call the police, non-emergency, talk to the complaints coordinator. If they're not available or you get no progress, talk to your local counselor, talk to your government representative. Okay. Bernhard says, Sean, your 1 year anniversary is coming up. Can you believe it's been a year? It's hard to believe. Truly hard to believe. It's like yesterday I was in my office. Where is he answering questions? It's not on TikTok. That's Jesse Anthony. Ethan says, hey, Sean, hey, man, how's it going? It's going well. Okay. Jesse says, here in Quebec, I thought it was technically one lane road will have a single. Okay, we're still talking about that. Is there any way to ask? Okay, Jesse's really asking that question a lot. Marion says, hi, hello back at you. Hunter Vernon says, call the non-emergency line. That's the getting more coverage. Yeah, that works too. The Real VR says, hey, Sean, how are you? Hope you haven't had to deal with many roadiates. I see roadiates everywhere. Do I have to deal with them personally? No, because they're not generally dealing with me. They're doing their own thing. I just happen to be catching it on the camera. Boom, boom, boom. By the way, the Arena West Side wants to know about reporting drivers who have children who are not properly. If you don't think that calling appropriately emergency or non-emergency line, you could also do an online report, especially in Toronto. There's online reporting. The registered owner will get a letter saying at this date and time you were observed or your vehicle was observed and in it was a child not properly thinking. They'll just educate them and then it'll create a trail of information like a dossier. Okay. Do police have a traffic ticket quota? That's from what on TikTok? And the answer is no. At least I've never had one. Listen, you have an obligation to do your job when you're out on the road. And if you're a traffic cop, that involves writing tickets. If you're not otherwise occupied, what the heck are you doing? You can't go to Timmy's all day. So if you were to go out for 8 hours and there was not one collision, what are you doing? You should be writing tickets. Now, how many tickets would it take you to, or how many tickets would you write in a day if you were actually working instead of hiding? Now, that's not a quota. That's an expectation of work. If you write one ticket, but you arrest a guy and it's, 600 pages of stuff because you got drugs and guns and stuff and that's different than a quota, because a quota would suggest you need to get 50 parking tickets or 50 tickets or you're going to get in trouble. That does not exist. Suggesting that if you're working, you should do work. This is not a quota. That is like, just do your damn job. It's very different than a quota. But some people don't want to accept that. Hunter Vernon says, don't call 911 to report people speeding. How do automated speed enforcement tickets affect your record and insurance? That's from Feathered Avocado. Nice username. They don't affect your license because in Ontario, those are issued to the registered owner, not based on they're issued to the registered owner vehicles, the license plate, not your license. They don't know who the driver is, so they can't impact your license or insurance. Okay. Oh, the Real VR tracks their cars. Tracks them, like take them to the racetrack, or tracks them. Oh, track fees. You're talking about racetracks. Got it. I apparently I scrolled up and missed a bunch of stuff. What happens if you find a random? What happens if you find a random debit card and you use it till it's finished? Well, you risk going to jail. It's not legal. You're stealing. Did you know that? Any exemptions for kids in a pickup truck with no back seats? Not my situation. Just curious. That's from Jerry. Here's the deal. It's not illegal to have a child in the front seat. It's just not advisable. It's not good for their safety. You're too close to an airbag, and airbags can hurt smaller, less developed people. So backseat is best, but not required. There's no law. That said, because it's safe, it's in the back. That's where they should be. And if you're going to be in the front, put the seat in the furthest rear position, as much space as you can to get them away from the airbag. Now, Melody says trucks have a switch to turn off the passenger airbag, and I understand that was the case, but that it's no longer the case. Maybe, well, you're the mechanic, you know more than me when it comes to this, but I thought that they stopped doing that in the United States. Thus, Canada no longer offers it either, and it's all based on sensors in the seat that determine whether or not there's a passenger in. Because what was happening before is people were leaving the airbag turned off and they weren't deploying. OG9802 says, why Toronto cops so rude? They probably just got tired of putting up with crap. People have a threshold. They are professional until they lose it. And sometimes you just need to be rude to deal with rude people. If someone's polite, I don't think there's anyone who is rude to them. Like, I've never been rude to someone who is being polite. I'm polite to people who are polite. It's kind of a thing. However, there are times when you're talking to someone and they're being rude, and the only way they respond is if you're rude back. And then they go, how dare you talk to me the way I was just talking to you? Shocker. So sometimes it's just it's like a language. They need rude speak to understand. And in that context, I would support using it. If you speak to me with profanity, maybe I need to use profanity in order for you to understand, because that's the way you communicate. And if I speak to you, all polite, you think I'm talking down to you. That's a possibility. So you try one. If it doesn't work, you move to the other one. OG9802 says, insurance is just a scam. Says everyone until they're in a collision, they can't pay their bills, they can't eat, and they need that insurance money to keep a roof over their head. Insurance isn't a scam. It's just expensive. Why? Because people are scumbags stealing other people's stuff and driving insurance rates up. Other people are driving like idiots, causing collisions, causing insurance rates to go up. Insurance is not a charity. Insurance is not there to give you a great deal so you can drive. It's a real business that has to make money and also pay for stuff when it gets broken and you make a claim. It's not money from heaven. It's money from people who are paying into the pot, and they then have to pay out when there's something happening. And it's not a warranty. It is a kind of, it's insurance. Warranties are insurance. You're paying for what if. But to say it's a scam is just showing that you don't understand. OG9802 says, why pay $200 a month for nothing? You don't understand. It's okay. Mo wants to know what my journey through TPS was. It started as an auxiliary, then within a couple months became a court officer, did both for many years, and then became a police officer. I also got promoted as an auxiliary to a sergeant, got promoted to a supervisor in courts, and then traded in 2 uniforms to become a police officer. What is this? Scrolling down. Is there no demerit point interviews anymore? I'm not sure I've never had a demerit point interview before, Tracy. I'm not familiar with how that works. Maybe was that in Ontario? Claudia says, hi. So my 17-year-old son just got a ticket going 100 in a 60 zone, I'm guessing. 100 in a 60 zone. He got a $300 ticket and 4 points. You said in a 6 zone. I'm assuming 60. But 100 in a 60 should have been stunt driving if you're in the province of Ontario. Where are you? I want to know. Zach says, are there radar cops at night? Sure. Radar is a thing that doesn't require daylight. Now that is laser. But I used to do laser and or radar every day, all the time, day or night, regardless of the shift. Claudia wants to know if their insurance goes up. I just want to know how they didn't get a charge for stunt driving, because 40 over. Well, maybe they did 40 over. It's stunt driving. That would be take your car and your license, and then you'd have a $2,000 to $10,000 fine, and your insurance would definitely go up. Company truck exhaust is leaking and extremely loud. Can I get a ticket? Yes, you are responsible as the driver. Oh, all the things just updated. Where we go. Yeah, you do a circle check. You're responsible for knowing that. You report it to your boss. If they say they won't fix it, now you're in a tough spot, but you're driving it. RG says, in your opinion, what's safer, riding a bike on the road or sidewalk? Well, for your safety, it's probably the sidewalk. And I mean that as a rider, because sharing the road with cars is more dangerous than sharing a road with pedestrians who are soft and mushy. And when you hit them, they get hurt. But it's not safer for the pedestrian. Thus, the vehicle, aka the bicycle, should stay on the road because it's a vehicle. And the sidewalks are for pedestrians. And it's illegal to be on the sidewalk for most jurisdictions. Do you need a license for a dirt bike? Not on private property. And the Real VR said exactly that. Ethan says, road if 50 kilometers or less. Not sure what we're talking about there. Oh, they're saying that the road if 50 kilometers an hour or less. But illegal if you're on the sidewalk. Matt says, or you guys can focus on real issues and not parking tickets. Police officers don't concentrate on parking tickets. What are you talking about? Is Ontario ever getting a mobile wallet? You mean electronic driver's licenses? They talked about doing it after the vid, but it never happened. So I don't know. The Real VR says that's bylaw's job, actually. It's actually parking enforcement officers' jobs. Well, some jurisdictions like York Region has bylaw officers. I think their parking is bylaw. Yes, Tracy, thank you. Hey, Tracy, how you doing? Am I able to do stuff here? Hang on. No, it just says you're a moderator. It doesn't say anything else. Is there a regulatory right turn only sign at an exit of private property? Is it enforceable? That's a good question. If it was erected by the city, I would argue that it probably is. If it's erected on private property by the private property person, it probably isn't. But I'm curious. I don't know the answer to that question. It would have to be dependent on who erected the sign and where it was erected. Now, if it's on the city property, the boulevard, it's city sign. And I would say that it is regulated and enforceable. It all depends. Kodak Drewski says, Paul Blart goes live. Then says, thanks for bringing us the culture, Mr. Molokop. I think Kodak Drewski is trying to be offensive. If I had feelings, you might have hurt them. But sadly, I can report, or maybe gleefully, I can report that I have no feelings because I was with the police for 25 years. Anyway, Claudia says, my husband's not going to be happy. Here's the deal. Find out what he was actually charged with. This is for the potentially stunt driving person if you're in Ontario. And if you're not in Ontario, it may not be stunt driving. You might be okay. But your insurance, it's his license that would be impacted by a conviction. Maybe seek representation. Maybe there's a deal to be had. Maybe there's a reduction that could happen. I'm not saying you need to hire representation, but find out, get disclosure, see what the case is against them. Hypothetically, if I have a car with exhaust mods and have no insurance, what's my ticket looking like? And you have no insurance, forget your exhaust mods. So the exhaust mods are $110 for the modified or no exhaust, $110 for unnecessary noise. Then you're talking at a $5,000 to $25,000 fine for no insurance and up to 6 months in jail. And that could all happen together. And I think it should happen together. And I think jail should be the starting point. You should be able to negotiate it down, but you should start with jail as a condition, as opposed to we're going to give them a $5,000 fine. No, you should start at 50,000 and work down. They give so many people a minimum. No, start it serious. Make it serious. Oh, Melody says it's always been trucks that can't fit car seats in the back and disable airbags. I thought that was the case. I didn't think that was still happening. I thought that it all changed, and obviously, it may not be the case. What's the legal age for a child to ride in the front seat? There is no legal age in Ontario. Melody's going to check on the new stuff. Cool. The Real VR says, Kodak Drewski, why are you here? Thanks, Pierre. Rock solid home inspections, no legal age. That's it. Awesome. Okay. So the whole weight and age thing is for sitting in a seat without a car seat, not or without a booster seat, not with what location that they sit in. Nello says e-bikes regularly speeding way past the 26-kilometer and nothing. You're absolutely right. There's a lot of violators, a lot of people who shouldn't be on the road and should be charged for riding their illegal motorcycles because, well, actually, it's e-bikes are 32 kilometers an hour. That's the maximum. And they're still going way past that. I see people doing 60 and 70. We've had people on the Don Valley Parkway on e-bikes. And they do get charged. It just may not be when you were there. If you weren't witnessing it, it doesn't actually mean it didn't happen. That's happening all over the city. It's not the focus. The focus is all the more important stuff. And those people, oddly enough, tend to regulate themselves. They get smashed up, beaten up, bruised, destroyed, hospitalized, because they're dum-dums. And the ones who don't take care of it themselves tend to get charged eventually. And I got news for you. If you're on an illegal e-bike, which is not an e-bike, it's a motorcycle, and you get into a crash, good luck getting paid. You're going to sue the other person's insurance, and the insurance is going to say, what were you driving? Oh, yeah, that illegal Suron that does 60 miles an hour. Yeah, good luck. Even if you do get paid, you're not getting paid anywhere near what that crash would be worth on a normal day. Someone just said I'm gonna. It scrolled. Where'd it go? Hang on. Boop-a-doo. Oh, come on. Oh, Austin says I listen to you with Jerry Agar. Always worth a listen on Wednesdays. Thank you very much, Austin. It's always good to meet with Jerry. I was on with Jerry last Monday instead of Wednesday, which you may have missed. But if you want to catch it, you can always get the replay on the podcast or go to YouTube and watch all the replays. If you're watching, you just jumped in. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. And I go through comments on all these platforms trying to catch up. And I try and do an hour, which becomes an hour and a half. And that's where we're at now. We're at an hour and 23 minutes. So I'm going to just let it go to the half and try to not go to 2 hours, which can happen sometimes. And I will be back tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern time to do this all again. She let him go. I'm a little, she let him go as in she did not take, the police officer didn't take their car and didn't suspend the license. So, but they still got a ticket. So they must have reduced it and not charged for 40 over and a 60. Because that would have been stunt driving. Can you get a seatbelt ticket if you have a time era car that didn't have seatbelts? No. If you have a vehicle that did not ship with seatbelts, then you are grandfathered and that vehicle doesn't require them, which is kind of crazy. And if you take a child that needs a child safety restraint in that vehicle, they don't require child safety restraints, which is super crazy. But then again, you can take children in buses and taxis without seatbelts, and that is also kind of crazy. What do we got here? What do we got here? Thank you for the information you give out. Man, you're the best. Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it. See the fist bump there. What about having an AD or AR license while driving an air brake coach motorhome? So, you've just given me alphabet that's send me spinning. If you want to send me details about that to my DM, I'll look it up, but I cannot think straight at the moment to answer the alphabet soup of that. What's the difference driving at night or driving in the daytime with tinted windows? Well, it might be a window I can see into during the day, but if I can't see in it during the night, it becomes illegal at night, but it may pass during the day. See, the charge is obscure interior of motor vehicle with color reflective coating, which could include sparkles or gray or green or whatever it is. But if I can't see you, that's an obscured interior. The threshold is based on the officer's observations, but that's generally the way. I see in, I probably don't have a problem. I can't see in, it's a problem. So if it's daytime and there's enough ambient light coming in through the front and the back window, you might be illuminated, but at nighttime you may not be, which would cause me to say, it ain't okay. At which point you could get a ticket for $110. But if the ticket, if the tint is so dark that I can't see in day or night, and I know it's more than the 30% because I test to my own satisfaction that it's more than 30%, I'm taking your license plates and you have an unsafe motor vehicle and you have to get certified again. Friend of mine was caught on radar doing 110 and a 60. Cop said he could impound the car and didn't. Yeah, 40 over in a 60 is stunt driving. 30-day suspension of your license, 14-day vehicle impound. Upon conviction of stunt driving, it is a $2,000 to $10,000 fine and up to 6 months in jail for the first conviction. Then it goes up to a 1 to 3 year driving prohibition on conviction as well. That first conviction, second conviction, 3 to 10 years, third conviction, you get kicked out of the driving program for life. For life, you're not driving for life. I got a new song. Hey, that's awesome. Okay, what do we got here? Thoughts on Ryan? I don't know Ryan. I mean, I know Ryan's, but I don't know that Ryan. My M2 is tomorrow. Any tips? Sleep well. Go to the bathroom before you, so you're not dancing in the car seat. Hydrate. I mean, but also just go for it and don't stress. Stress is your biggest enemy. You know it or you don't know it by now. Nothing you're going to do really other than get good sleep, eat, and not be hungry and don't have to pee, and then just pay attention and exaggerate your stuff. So if you're told that if you're doing shoulder checks, I like to verbalize doing a shoulder check. When I was doing motorcycle stuff, I do stuff with my eyes. I check the mirrors. No, don't check mirrors just with your eyes. They can't see your eyes. Checking the mirrors. No reason you can't be verbose and loud. Just don't be obnoxious. Good luck to you though. Let us know if you get it. That's Vortex the Bacon. Oh, Claudia's son is now here, and he wants to hear what I have to say. Well, I don't know what he wants to hear because I've said everything I had to say before. The real thing is they can go back and replay everything I said in the show. Maybe they should be following this on their social media and tuning into every episode so they know exactly what's going on. The goal of this show and everything I do is to make roads safer, but it's through education. And once you know stuff, it's harder to ignore stuff like speeding and driving dangerously. And if he would have been charged for doing 100 in a 60, stunt driving would have been a bad day for him. And it would have destroyed his record for insurance for years to come. He's a new driver, I'm assuming. And as a new driver, you're just trying to develop a history with your insurance company. Don't start off with a stunt driving charge. And that could have been done. If that is not what if you were able to drive away with your license, you didn't get charged for 100 in a 60 in Ontario because that would have been stunt. It would have been an automatic impound. How is it okay for garbage collector to hang off the back of the truck? I talked about this on the air with Jerry Yeager all the time. I shouldn't say all the time, a number of times recently. And I actually don't think it's legal. I don't think it's legal for them at all. They do it. I think everyone ignores it, but I don't think there's a section of law that deals with it. I've looked. I can't find it. I think it's just sort of one of those things that they do. And maybe if we find this, we'll know. But I've yet to find it and talked about it for a year. Yes, and Tracy says the same thing. Eat before you go, signal for everything, constantly check mirrors. I like that. Andrew wants to know if I'm a cop in Canada. I used to be a cop in Canada. I was a police officer in the city of Toronto, and that's in the province of Ontario. And I am no longer because almost a year ago, I left policing, and I still do this as my contribution to the community under the not-for-profit agency called the Canadian Organization for Better Traffic Safety and Education. Something I want to do to give back. I'm sharing the info. What's the rule on mini bikes? That's Tenzin wants to know. The answer is they're not legal for the road. Okay. If you have, what is this? you have long hair, wear it in a ponytail. What are we talking about? What's the rule for exhaust systems? They got to be legal. Will there be a class action lawsuit brought against garbage companies for the guys hanging off? Probably if somebody gets hurt. Are certain cars more targeted and get pulled over? If so, how would that work? I'm not aware of any particular car that gets more attention. It's based on the driver's activity, that like the way that they're driving that gets the attention that causes them to be pulled over. If you're watching now, I am going to say goodbye because it's an hour and a half that I've been doing this, and I'm going to be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. And if I don't stop soon, I'm not going to sleep. And I can just keep going and going and going like the Energizer traffic answering bunny. Traffic questioning answering bunny. But let me scroll and see if I've got anything interesting that I can hit right now. I don't want to lose them. Like there's a lot of dialogue here. Boo, 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 boo. So cops can give discretion for stunt driving speeds. Cops can give discretion for almost everything. If I don't want to charge you, I don't have to charge you. But why would I give discretion for stunt driving? You done the thing. I had a friend who would make you go, who would only give you stunt if he got you 2 over the threshold. So he wouldn't give it to you at 50 over. He'd have to do 51 or 52 over because he wanted to give you the margin of error. He also wanted to make sure that the charge stuck. And I appreciate that. He's no longer with us, but I appreciate the discussion about that. And if it was good enough for him, it was good enough for me. So having that threshold was good. Because then the person's, there's no question. Yep. Not only did I not wait, I didn't give it to him on the line. I gave him a couple of kilometers leeway, and he was doing 10 over that threshold. So he was doing 60 and a 50 or 55 and a 60 or 55 over, 55 and a 1. Anyway, it's 40 over up to the speed of 80. And then from 80 and above, it's 50 over to be stunned. Yeti says no insurance, no license plate. What are we talking about? What's a legal exhaust? A legal one. What do we have here? Senor Goldstein says stop sign, question mark. What are we talking about? What are we talking about here? Please, the 30-kilometer sign areas. 30 kilometers an hour is super duper fast in those areas. Those are areas with small children, and that's not cool. Yeah, at least people who speed those areas. It's a school zone. Slow down. Where's everybody in such a rush? Vinny, what do you mean what's a legal exhaust? One that is legal, that conforms to the regulations in the province of Ontario and Canada. It's spec'd out by Transport Canada. Landon says Ham 17 from BC, currently a volley firefighter, planning on going to the RCMP once 18. Any tips? Stay out of trouble, keep doing education development, and learn languages. Stay fit and stay positive. It's not necessarily a quick go, but good luck to you, man. You got a long road ahead of you, a long career. Get in as soon as you can, but never stop training and developing and learning new stuff, even if you're taking courses that aren't necessarily directly related to policing. Take an accounting course. Why not? There was somebody today who had a forensic accounting degree, if I remember correctly, and they are bringing all sorts of awesomeness to the police service that they just joined, the Peel Regional Police Service. All right. Does a Ferrari come with a legal exhaust? Probably, before it gets modified by the owner. It's just like Harleys aren't loud until they buy aftermarket pipes before it even leaves the dealership. Okay. Thanks for the follow, Landon. Okay. Let me see. Oh, AJ the Awesome is ready for Fan Expo. Glad it's finally here. Thursday to Sunday. I'm going to try and pop in on Thursday. We'll see how that works. I didn't get tickets in advance. I had hoped to, and this has just been the busiest week. Got lots going on, and I'm going out of town. Ready. Okay. What do we got here? Liz says, sorry, I'm sure you've shared this info before, but how long have you been riding motorcycle? Did you learn for TPS? I have been riding motorcycle since I was 16 years old, roughly. And I when I joined the police in 2000, I was approached by the auxiliary saying, hey, we have spaces in traffic services. You ride a motorcycle. We'd like to have you on the motorcycle unit. And that's how I started as a volunteer. I was an auxiliary who got to ride motorcycles for the Toronto Police. And then when I became a police officer, I was approached upon transferring to traffic services and said, hey, listen, you used to have a blue card, which is a qualification for motorcycle. You have a motorcycle license. Would you like to come in and become motorcycle qualified at traffic? And I did that for the Pan Am Games, temporary transfer into the motor squad, went back to the platoon, and then came back as a motor squad officer. But I didn't get qualified. I didn't become a rider for TPS. I was a rider since I was a kid and love riding. Riding is such a wonderful way to get around and travel and tour. And I'm not doing that now because in 2018, I had a crash, which took me off the road and changed my policing career dramatically. That's how I got here on the social media. And it was awesome in a weird way. Marilyn says, hello, Sean, and thanks. Thanks for saying hey. All right. I have covered all the questions. Now I just have to go and do the one dad joke. Oh, and then someone comes and says, hey, I got a question. I have a cat and I like to driving with the cat. Can I have him in the car? You can have him in the car, but you can't have him on your lap. You can't be interacting with that animal because it's drive while crowded or distracted. Well, not distracted, but careless driving. Melanie says, bye, Sean. Thank you for the live tonight. Have a wonderful night. Thank you, Melanie. Appreciate you. Be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. if you want to do this again, because that's what I'm doing. And then, of course, next Tuesday we'll be back. Yeah. We got that. Can my cat be unleashed in the passenger seat? Sure, but you can't have them on your lap, which is a problem because if they're unleashed. Now, I will say this. It's not a requirement legally to have them leashed or tethered or crated, but it is better for them in the event of a collision. They don't become projectiles that get squished or squish or become, well, anyway, it's bad for them. Crated is the best, tethered is second best. And if they're not crated or tethered, how do you keep them off your lap? You're interacting with them. While you're interacting with them, you are a risk to others. And you're at risk for getting a ticket. How do people get their DUI charges dropped in court? They probably get lawyers. Were you an American or Canadian officer? I was a Canadian officer because I am a Canadian living in Canada. What is this? Someone saw a guy in a Walmart parking lot with a goat in the back of the vehicle. That's interesting. Okay. Here we go. Dad joke. How do astronauts organize a trip? They plan it. I had to press that 3 times for it to work. Yeah. Martin says, Martin, a small Quebec toe here. Always appreciate your insights. Oh, hey, first of all, shout out to Quebec. I got to come visit. I love it there. I love it. Canada is such a wonderful place to travel. I don't do enough travel within Canada. I used to come to Montreal and travel around Quebec all the time, and I haven't for years. One of my best friends went to school there, and it was always an excuse to go and visit Montreal. And that's my story. Okay, I will say goodnight. If you're going to drive sober, drive safely, park legally, and take care of yourself. You know, we have a long drive. It's not about getting there fast, but getting there safely. Make it enjoyable. Have a wonderful night, and we will see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern time where I do this all again. So that's it. That's all. I'm out. Have a great night. Email address is on the YouTube channel. You can also go to askatrafficcop.ca. Someone just asked. And Callie, thanks for the gifts. Callie sent flowers. Any monies that come into the show come into the not-for-profit called the Canadian Organization for Better Traffic Safety and Education. And if you want to support us there, or you can go to the askatrafficcop.ca website. You can give us donations directly. You can go to Buy Me a Coffee or PayPal. And, of course, you can always do the TikTok thing. Thank you for everyone who's watching. We'll see you soon. Take care.